Hi there. Our meditation for this is going to be very simple. To take some slow, steady breaths in and out, releasing stress as we exhale. Now we're going to regulate our breathing by counting to 4 on the in-breath, pausing for 4 before we exhale, counting to 4 as we exhale, pausing for 4 before we inhale. This is called squared breathing. I'm going to do it with you. Inhale for 4. Okay. After doing a few rounds, return to breathing normally. The next thing we want to do, take our left hand and move it over to our right knee and then return it. Take our right hand, move it over to the left knee and return it. And now we're going to count to 20 as we do this. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. Take a nice deep breath. Exhale completely. And resume normal breathing. We have now synced both sides of our body, both hemispheres of our brain. And as we go into the reading, we set the intention for this or something better, meaning we will not be limited by what we encounter in the reading, that we will only use it for our highest good and the highest good of all. And if there is something better, we wish to line up with that. Okay? And let us begin. There. Ooh, my first words came out a little bit scratchy. So I'm going to take that as part of the reading reflection one. Might be difficulty with communicating something, but let's dig into the cards I've pulled. There's quite a few here for you. Tell that I'll benefit from using these already. Nick Fury, war hero, super spy, director of S.H.I.E.L.D. Just while I painted it yesterday. Don't know if that was a great idea yet or not. Kept young by the mysterious infinity formula. He's seen a lot of action on many fronts. Sorry to giggle. For some reason, he's seen a lot of action. Made me giggle. It made me think of like a man who's seen a lot of action. And not the war kind. Lightning. Crack-a-crack-a-thoom is how sound. This is Uranus energy. It's like an epiphany. It's like sudden and electrifying change. Oh, a breakdown. Jarvis, we have a problem. So there's some sort of tower falling. And when a tower falls, it's something that was built on a false premise. Something that is no longer serving you. Something that where your consciousness just expanded. Process of getting to know the person behind the mask. Dating. Interesting. I don't know if that ties into this realization, but let's see. Jack Sparrow. This charming pirate scoundrel has sailed the seven seas from Davy Jones's locker all the way to the Fountain of Youth. Interestingly, this card was stuck in with the Marvel cards, even though it's a Disney card. So we've got that superhero dude and now Jack Sparrow, and both of these are like action figures, you know? Maybe you are this type of person who keeps really busy, or there's someone like that in the picture here. Eyes, the better to see you with. And see, there's a third eye here. There may be a third eye opening, and that could be actually what expanded your view on something, what helped the truth come to light. Have come through the third eye vision. A stampede, a sudden rush of frightened animals. All of a sudden there's movement here that is quite fearful. The Lion King. The lion cub, Simba, overcomes tragedy to take his rightful place as king of the jungle. A giraffe. Giraffes grow up to 18 feet tall, which can be a real pain in the neck. This tower was really tall. The fact that it's falling is both unexpected and inconvenient for some aspect of your desires. Probably an egoic thing, but, you know, it really hurts when your ego gets a ding or crushed or is dying. Fire extinguisher. Instead of putting out a fire, Wall-E uses fire extinguisher to fly through space. Some unconventional use of something here. It's kind of like one of the things that inspired me to do this, using pick-a-card readings for actual healing and actual lining up with the potential, which you could always do with a pick-a-card, but I'm intentionally doing it. So I've added some ingredients to it that will actually help towards that outcome. Whereas other pick a card readings, you may have to add that intention yourself. So because we are both adding it to this, it's more effective. You see? All right. Next we've got, where are you standing in all this? I mean, there's a lot. A lot came out, and I was feeling like I needed to take all of these. So it is out of your control. So there's some aspect of this that you are not in control of, and that might be really uncomfortable for you. Check nutrition. So it's asking you look at what you're ingesting, and it could be, what you're watching, could be what you're eating or drinking, who are you spending time with, things like that. You are feeling rather confident, like you haven't given up, you're not playing victim or anything like that. I think this is a reading that might help clarification of some things. Oh, because there is a misunderstanding, and you may, even though you're confident, there is a misunderstanding. So that means you're confident in your misunderstanding, meaning I don't know that you know it's a misunderstanding. And that's maybe why I just got this feeling like this is going to clear some things up. Yeah, because there's something here that you're doing that you're not aware of why you're doing it. Maybe if you were aware, you would not do that way. Yeah, lies and deception. This is where you are at right now. So it could be you lying to yourself, or there could be some deception in an experience you're having. But you are full of compassion. So I think I feel like you are very understanding towards yourself and others. You're in process. There's a process going on here. And clear communication. So even though it may have been difficult, you have gotten the message or are able to communicate the message. Even though you may be feeling a low, it is a healthy low, meaning like there's something to process here. It might not be one of the best feelings that there is to have. More time in nature, you're in need of that. So what that means is your system would benefit greatly from grounding, hugging a tree, just spending some time in nature away from electronics. There's literally like a biomagnetic field in your system, and it can help to reset it, by being in nature, and it's calling that to your attention. So not only it's what you're putting into your body, it's like your body might be struggling a bit right now, so it's saying that you could do this to help it. And you may already know that because we got inspired action. You have been inspired to taking some action, and it could be just because something else fell apart and that inspired you to take some other action. Okay, let's look more. Karma, conversation, awareness, tend to emotional body, defensive, lighted, forgiveness, make a choice, compatible, adequate, unconditional love, unconscious. I'm getting a picture of this as I do it. Food sensitivity, and 2 days. Okay. There's a lot more cards, but let me just digest this a little bit for you and spit it back out. It might be some of it just a reiteration of what we've already said, but it's just a helpful way to build on the story. So it's like when you build a story, you want to make sure the foundation is nice and solid. So if we go back over some of the things, that's the reason. One of the things obviously was the nutrition, and we did get food sensitivity, so it's really wanting you to take that seriously. 2 days' time is being mentioned here for some reason. And the amount of time that, ago this started or something like that. Be unconscious of the fact that you have some fear of inadequacy. I've been trying to make a choice. One thing that needs to happen is some forgiveness. I think this is of self. I think there's a forgiveness of self required. You may not know that you're feeling really defensive, meaning trying to protect yourself. Maybe you're trying to protect yourself from having to be reminded that you feel inadequate, because mostly you're just hiding that from yourself. You're kind of suppressing and denying that you have that fear or belief that you're inadequate. And that is causing you to be defensive, meaning you won't let anyone close. You won't let certain things matter to you that might otherwise matter. You're putting conditions on the love you give yourself, and therefore also the love you give others. They can only deal with you in a certain way, because if they don't, then they'll get past your defenses, and that won't work for you. Okay? Bring awareness and tend to your emotional body. This is something in the emotions that you're trying to protect. It's a feeling of inadequacy. So it needs your unconditional love. There is a conversation that needs to be had. And this might be bringing up these feelings of inadequacy and defense. It's either a conversation someone's trying to have with you, or that you're needing to have with someone else. It's like there's a choice waiting to be made here by you, and it's the choice to deal with the inadequate feelings things are crumbling in your reality in order to force you to do this, I think. It might feel like an emergency. You might be like ushered into it, like here, do it, like that stampede, right? It's like if you don't go with the flow of things, you're going to be trampled. You might be like feeling like that. And it's saying like you have all this like Jack Sparrow, Nick Fury energy, right? Like you got this. And you know this isn't even part of you, like, because you're very confident. But just know that even though you're very confident, you do have this, I'm going to call it a weakness, only because it's limiting you and holding you back at the moment. And you are completely unconscious of it, meaning you haven't admitted it to yourself. Instead, you're just defending yourself and justifying your defensive stance on the basis that others haven't proven trustworthy. Okay? But forgive yourself for that. Forgive others who have wronged you in that, who have made you take that stance about others in general. Because you understand that by being hurt, it's appropriate to want to defend yourself. However, if you heal that original hurt that's causing you to be defensive and feel inadequate, then you will not block out every other person and feel defensive. Byron Katie has a quote, and it might even be a partial quote, but it says, defense is the first act of war. I meditated on that for a while, right? Because it's confusing at first when you kind of take it in, or it can be, was for me. And, what I really understood by it was that a war is between two opposing sides that are pushing against each other. And so if somebody offends you, and you don't defend yourself, that's not a war, is it? But if you defend yourself, now you've created a war. Now there's an opposing force pushing, right? And sorry, I just lost one of the thoughts that I felt like was important. Let it come back. This is a repeating energy in your life. It's affected you many times. And compatible. Yeah. So whereas you are defensive, that makes you incompatible. And in actuality, the truth of the matter is there is a compatibility. Maybe like both sides want to have the conversation. Yeah, okay. We're going to go into the tea cards, the tea leaf cards. Basket, recognition, reward for merit. If you are very successful in things like this, you may want to just focus on that. There may be a need for you to recognize that there's a worthwhile experience that you're delaying having by staying in this inadequacy that you may not even be aware of. I think it's totally in your subconscious. I don't think you would admit it to anyone. I think you would hate me even saying this, so you may feel very triggered, defensive. You might not even be here anymore. If you are and you're hanging with it, awesome. Good on you, because that means you're really ready to address this. Because this reading, when I started dealing the cards for this reading, I asked for information about how to upgrade the timeline you're on. Like how to jump out of the timeline you're on to the next highest timeline that's for you. So this is a kind of thing that's being brought to your attention. And, as things break down and you're forced to act in a way that you might not have otherwise chosen to do because of this wound is going to kind of come up. It's like uprooting itself to be seen by you when you're forced into this situation where you have to act. And it's so contrary for you to even feel this. It's like, I'm usually very competent and tough and I can handle things. But all of a sudden you have this like fear, and you wouldn't have seen it otherwise without this situation, because you are coping very well. But for your soul says, oh no, we don't want to be limited by this anymore. We got someplace to go. And that inadequacy, that fear, that defensiveness, that's going to hold us back from getting to where we're going. We can't take that with us. Let's become compatible to the next highest timeline and what we really want to achieve. Okay. Dark woman, dealings or relationship with a woman with dark complexion or hair. I'm sometimes curious about when these cards come out, but I think it's just alerting to another figure in your life that may be involved in this. It could be the originator of the wound, right? And maybe there was a situation with a woman with dark hair or complexion that kind of created that wounding in you. Or there may be one showing you. There might be you. Birth or conception of a child or enterprise. You're trying to birth something new. Your body may be showing signs of it. Wall, misunderstanding. This is the second time we've got misunderstanding in the reading with two different decks. So, as a result of you having this wound, which your ego took up the job of defending yourself so that you never had to feel the uncomfortable feelings that are associated with that wound of inadequacy, right? It doesn't feel good to feel inadequate. At some point in your life, you had an experience, you felt inadequate, it was overwhelming, or you couldn't deal with it because you were too busy surviving, and it was pushed into the background. And it now got thrown forward to experience again when you are more ready. This is the time. You're more ready. The way that you've been coping has been to defend yourself against ever having to enter into a situation which would make you feel that way. And it might have even suppressed emotions and attachment kind of feelings that caused you to not be invested in a way that would cause you to feel inadequate. Like if you're not investing, then it doesn't really matter what other people think, right? And what's coming out, what's coming through, what I'm trying to say, all these sentences led up to me saying the misunderstanding is that this is an effective way to continue coping. The misunderstanding is that this isn't limiting you in some way, and it is, and it's important to understand it. Tortoise slowly but surely getting ahead. And this is in contrast to the stampede and the lightning, right? I think it's the difference between right now you've been pushed into a situation where it's going to force you to act, to make some changes, and then overall it is a slow and steady thing, meaning like overall there's going to be more after this and there was stuff before this. So overall it's important or good or helpful to adopt the mindset that says, I am in process, and to enjoy the process. Find the little pieces of it that you can enjoy. Because we did have delight here. Maybe there's parts of what you would engage in if you weren't defending yourself that would actually delight you. And you're cut yourself off from that for now. Bird flying. News is on the way. There was something that was out of your control, and it could be this kind of lightning moment, this news that kind of sparks something, sparks a knowing and understanding. Dolphin. Financial gain, usually coming from something you did in the past. And that will always be welcome, right? So it's like what you've done in the past by kind of not investing in potentially relationships allowed you to focus on something else, right? In the Pentacles realm, making some money, investing in projects or something other than relationships. And this was not for nothing. It's kind of saying like, don't worry, there'll be fruit. There'll be fruit from your labors. It's just that you got more and bigger and, other things to do next. Dog, close up. Pleasure with a close friend. When we look at like Jack Sparrow and stuff, I think pleasure has been an important part of your life, right? I think that you had Nick Fury's cards say that you've seen a lot of action. So, I kind of get this feeling like you've been enjoying yourself. Maybe just not committing, or maybe not like investing too much. Maybe it's like a series of hookups or dates or something like that, but not commitment, not monogamy, not marriage. And I'm not saying that it's wrong to not believe in it, but that's the message that's coming through, okay? This isn't a judgment call. But when I say this, there's a reason why it's coming in the message. We'll see. See if it has anything more to say about it. I get dizzy a bit when I talk about this topic, so that there's a lot of energy behind it. Maybe there's a strong belief or feeling that you have about it all. Like I don't think you want to change the structure that you've been living with and under and through, but maybe you don't realize that it's all teetering on the fact that you feel inadequate in some way. Like if you knew you were adequate, would you still want to live this way? If you knew you were adequate for what? What would you want? Feather, someone you know is undependable and insincere. I just heard, is it you? But there may be the fact that you have behaved in such a way that where you didn't want to invest in longer term relationships or very deeply into relationships, even if they were longer term, maybe they were kind of shallow and built on transactions. You may have lined up with others who are also undependable and insincere, meaning you're plugging them in just to fill a need that you have, and they're plugging you in just to fill a need that you have. Meaning you could be replaced, meaning there's not a lot of investment in the other as who they are and the betterment of their lives and all this. Like you're not looking to grow alongside somebody exactly, as far as I can tell here. Or maybe you haven't allowed that for yourself. Money path. A path with money is waiting for you to find it. Yeah. And the thing is, the way that you treat relationships is also affecting how your money stays with you, because there's something about being in the 3D realm in a solid way and building relationships that are solid that translates into your wealth and abundance having a place to solidly sit. It's like, why would you, as a soul, set yourself up with abundance that you are going to use to actually drive yourself into the ground because you ingest substances that are harmful to you, or, whatever it is, like something like that. Gong, an exciting event. Yeah, I think you will be delighted at some point in this transition. Okay? Boy, I feel dizzy. There's a lot more to go through here, and I'm just going to take a moment. I'm going to pour some coffee. I'm going to kind of get my energy kind of moved through this space so we can see something more, because I feel like I don't want to keep just repeating this. I think we've got that pretty much down, and we're going to get to another part of the reading next. So one moment, please. Okay. I saw that our next card is from the Beyond Lemuria deck, so I'm going to use a little bit of the guidebook here. And the card is Healing. It's number 30. Extend the margins of your awareness, which the lightning indicates that that's happening. Revisit the situation in question from a broader perspective or higher vibration, with a focus on healing. This will help you decipher what is real, possible ways forward, and whether an issue is really a problem at all. This card can also signify the universal push that inspires you to explore your healing abilities, however that looks to you. Yeah. When we heal ourselves, this can sometimes inspire us to help others with the same skills that we've learned we have. Healing is a intrinsic function that is built into each of us. So when we engage with that process, it happens naturally. And we got Wally using a fire extinguisher for going into space. So I don't want to limit you. I have shared a lot of methods and tools on this channel. But it's important to remember that if none of those seem right for the moment, maybe there's something else that you're being inspired to, that you're going to bring to the world. And I think this is an encouragement for that. I'm just drawn to, even though I wasn't going to read all this part, I'm just going to do this paragraph now because I was drawn to it. Energetic healing is based on the meridian systems of the body. These systems, the chakras, are often depicted as color wheels of light. Each chakra connects to organs of the body, emotions, and related characteristics. Emanating from those powerful vortices is the energy field known as the aura. It is possible to train yourself to see the electromagnetic field around the body, and it can be photographed. And when you have your third eye open, sometimes auras is what you see. So we did have a card with eyes and with the third eye being shown. So it's a possibility that your awareness has expanded in a way that you can now see other dimensions of energy. Allow that for yourself. Sorry to pause that way. I just kind of got a little download about and said, and it was like I got a message for myself, like, yeah, allow that for yourself. Back to you. Okay, we got this healing card. Let's move on to the next card. Truth. Wow. Wow, truth will correct all errors in my mind. Truth will correct all errors in my mind. So there's an untruth. We did get lies. We did say that you're living under some illusion about a lie. When a situation has been dedicated wholly to truth, peace is inevitable. When the truth comes out, there will be peace. In your heart, miracles are seen in light. The illumination could feel like a miracle. The shift in energy, it's like everything kind of just coming together, working out, making sense. Only you can deprive yourself of anything. Do not oppose this realization, for it is truly the beginning of the dawn of light. It's the beginning. This is where you're being cracked open. This is beautiful. Okay, here we have release, and then I've crossed out toxic relationships. Release relationships that you have grown apart from. I crossed out the word toxic because I didn't really want to use that label at the time that I did this, you know? But there are certain relationships in your life that you have grown apart from, that they served a good purpose, that they may have even caused the harm that we're talking about here, the wound that you're now currently healing from. They may have been something that you lined up with while you were unhealed. And this version of you who is healing self will recognize very readily the ways that you're no longer compatible with some of the relationships that you've been maintaining. And it's not saying to be unkind. It's not saying that those people are garbage. It's not saying anything like that, you know? And that's what I get the picture of when I use the word toxic, so that's why I didn't want to use it. These are just people. You probably love them on some level. But maybe the relationships are very shallow, and maybe you'll recognize that once you do this healing on yourself. You'll recognize that you never let them in deeper, or you never got in deeper with them. And it'll just be a natural thing for them to fall away, or, you know, in some cases you may be able to have conversations with people about how you agree to show up in the relationship, and whether or not they're willing to agree to show up in a way that's compatible with you. And sometimes they are, and sometimes they're not, and that's not always a conversation you have. And sometimes it's drifting away and just, you know, not resonating together anymore, and just not making plans anymore and things like that. And sometimes it's an actual conversation that needs to be had. Like this isn't healthy for me at this time, and I respect your right to have your lifestyle how you want it. I've just realized that I need to live another lifestyle. It's not easy, and I don't think that the best way to do it is to ghost someone or just cut them off abruptly. And, you know, I say that from experience. I have done that, and I don't think it's wrong to grow apart from people, but I think there's a kind way to do it. And just from my own experience, I wish that I had in me what it took to do that. So if you have it in you to do that, if you're adequate enough to do that, I mean, I commend you. And I would, just from my own experience and perspective, say that that would be the more appropriate way to do it where possible. Sometimes you're in relationship with people who can't have that conversation, and it's okay to just cut the ties. It's appropriate. Say it's a drug dealer or something that's been giving you a substance that you've been feeding yourself and holding yourself back. I mean, I don't think that you owe them a conversation about how you're getting sober. You know, you just block their calls and delete their number. I think that's appropriate when that's the type of relationship. But that's just an example. Don't take that if that's not for you. Your great wave awaits. Number 40. The thing about a wave is it's done with water. Sometimes there are waves of energy as well. But I don't think it's the only thing this card means, but I want to add in that this card could be letting you know that there will be a wave of emotion. It might feel big like that. And if you can be present with whatever the feeling is, you don't have to tell a story about it. When I talk about doing the steps of acknowledging, validating, and accepting, those are steps designed to get your attention on the thing, to relax your ego about the thing, and to stop resisting the thing to open your channel. If you're not telling a story about the emotion because it's been suppressed and denied, and you don't even need to relive the story, then don't. Really accept that you're in a position to now process this emotion and then be present with it. It may be as simple as that for you. You don't have to go back and tell the story to yourself and comfort your ego and all of that stuff if your ego's on board with allowing you to be brave and feel the emotion that comes up and be present with it. Meaning not blaming anyone, not wishing it was different, not thinking about the past or the future, just letting it be with you. And it will, if you've accepted that and that's what you're doing, that wave will move through you. And you will be so expanded that it won't knock you over. When you resist it, when you don't acknowledge that it's there, when you lie to yourself, that kind of wave can knock you over. It can knock you on your ass, and you might have to rest a while. We call that depressed. Trust and act accordingly. Number 30. What you see. I feel like, I'm thinking of the third eye, and because we just talked about maybe seeing auras and look at the colors in this eye, it's like trust and act accordingly. You see something now that you couldn't see before, whether it be physical auras or whether it be just something about a relationship or a person or yourself. Don't ignore it. Don't suppress it, deny it. Keep looking at it, process it, act accordingly to the new realization and awareness that you have. Deliver your greatest gift to the world. Now we got a 10. Isn't that interesting? A 40, a 30, and a 10. Deliver your greatest gift to the world. We've got the eye, we've got some sunglasses, and we've got a gift. And this is all in water. So your gift might be something that you're doing with your third eye, something that you're seeing, something that you're sharing with people. There are people that are called extrasensory. And, besides the regular senses that we're all taught, that we have, the sight, hearing, taste, touch, sound is the one that I'm meaning for hearing. There are other senses. There's like Donna Eden, she can see energy, and she can see the energy meridians and how energy is moving in the body. Teal Swan can also see energy. She's an extrasensory. Sherry, that's Sharry Edwards, Sherry Edwards, can hear the frequencies coming from people, like those frequencies that are actually in the body that match up to vitamins, minerals, whatever. She can hear those frequencies and decipher them. So those are just some examples of extra sensory. you have some extra sensory ability here that you either are just becoming apprised to of or will become apprised of after you do this healing and allowing. Perfect timing. This is the right time for you to move forward. You kind of know that because you got that stampede. You feel the pressure of it. If you were spending time not moving forward, it probably feels wrong. It probably feels like, oh no, I gotta do something. I think we might be talking about another person now. Let's see. Era, war. Fourth harmonic, cardinal cross. That means there are step-by-step things going on here. Palace, pattern detecting, balanced masculine and feminine energy, high intelligence. Sextile, an energy that can work together. Ninth house, higher learning, bigger vision, long distance travel, religion, philosophy. Hygeia is the energy of prevention, really, prevention of health issues or cleaning up health issues. Eros, cleaning up in general. Eros is the passionate love energy. Philia is friend, love energy, brother energy. Aquarius, it's that energy of the new age. It is an energy that is for humanity, and it's an energy that has a bigger picture view and higher intellect and can seem sort of a detached, but is definitely tapped into the pulse of humanity. And Pluto, transformation, the underworld, the subconscious. So, the fact that you've had a wound around inadequacy, and I just keep shortening it to inadequacy, but that's because that's the only word that came out. There might be some other things tied into it, which we're going to look at in a moment. But because you've had that wound, hold on, I lost my train of thought. Hold on. Oh, plus you've been confident, right? You've been very confident. You weren't aware of this. And you can notice those energies are opposing, right? Like on the one hand, I'm very confident. On the other hand, I secretly inside, I don't admit it, but I feel inadequate to do this other thing that I want to do. But I will never admit I want to do it because then I'd have to admit that I'm not doing it because I feel inadequate. It's like, well, which is it, right? Those are opposing energies. And what this is saying is this war has been within you. That's the war that's living out within you every day, is the conscious feeling and knowing that you are confident, and the unconscious feeling and knowing that you're inadequate to do something that you want to do. And so this war that inside of you may have lined you up with other people who are also at war. This is something you're transforming, and you're bringing yourself up into a higher timeline where you can live with your passion and know that you can achieve everything that you came here to achieve. You'll see the bigger picture view. You're sort of just like cleaning house. You're going into that subconscious, and it's a step-by-step process, but you are looking at what needs your love and cleaning up, and then you are doing it. We got not trustworthy, outside authority. These could be root causes of the wounds. Inconsistent, uninspired, and dependence. You know what I think this is? This is talking about the person that originally you lined up with, that caused this wound of you not feeling adequate. Adequate. So you may be like, well, if that's the origination, why did I have it in the first place? It's like, well, maybe this is something your soul is trying to learn, right? Maybe it originated because part of your soul plan was to learn what you needed to learn, that this situation would eventually push you into realizing something about yourself that is there to serve humanity on a greater basis. But I think this other person, so it's just to reassure you at this point, because you know, you probably likely have an idea of what the relationship was, you know, with another person that caused you to feel like you weren't adequate in the situation. You felt like inadequacy because you were put in a no-win situation. That's why. So that could have happened in your family home with mother. No-win situations, and not consistently either. So there was a dependence, there was inconsistency, there was outside authority. Like, it's like maybe you're in this relationship with a person and they just keep telling you like, oh, well, our relationship needs to look like this because look at this magazine article, you know, kind of thing like that. Like, just not even really making it more about image and doing what other people say, and just finding out that they weren't trustworthy, and also that they really weren't inspired to change any of that, to aspire to something greater the way that your soul is here to do. And maybe they've changed, and maybe they have since been inspired and grown and learned, and that really doesn't matter. The thing is, these are the kind of scenarios that you were dealing with. And so I think it's trying to show that to you so you can say, like, you were in a no-win situation. It's not that you were inadequate, but that was the best. Just lost the word. The best conclusion that you could make at the time. But in actuality, it was these other things. It was that you were put in a no-win situation. And yes, you put yourself in that no-win situation because you chose this person who was doing these things. And yes, you might have chose this person who was doing these things because of the way you grew up, which taught you to work hard, which taught you dependence, and which taught you to put your heart on your sleeve and believe in the fairy tales and to hold on to what you have, and that you could never really, there was something that they knew that you didn't know. Like there's this mystery of feminine energy, this chaos, this like, it feels untouchable to you in some way. And yeah, I feel like you maybe felt like a novice going into love relationship, and that's why you felt inadequate, but you never had a good example. You never had a healthy example. And so the conclusions you made led you to this experience that you had, which did wound you. You overcame it. You coped with it very well for a very long time. You've probably had a lot of fun, learned a lot of things. And now it's time for you to step up out of that, because that you've done everything you could do in that timeline. There's more for you to do here on Earth. There's more awareness, there's more consciousness, there's more experiences. They're on a higher timeline. They are inspired. They are something that you are prepared to do because of the situations you've been through. And as soon as you get down in and be present with this wound of inadequacy and process it through, I feel like everything's it's like a floodgate. It's like that stampede. It's like the wave. It's like, whoa. This new timeline feels like you're, just being carried. Yeah. Wow. Wow. This was a long one, number one, but it was a pleasure. I know we repeated a lot, and we just built up that foundation for you to really understand that you're leaping off of a place onto another place where you got to kind of trust it, but like also it's going to be a lot easier to trust it once you're not feeling that inadequacy, right? So I think that what you figure out and learn about yourself through the process of healing that for yourself is really exciting, and it's going to carry you far. So there you go. That completes your reading. Hello, reflection number 2. I've pre-dealt some oracle cards, so let's get into them. It's quite a bit here, so this is going to go on for a while, okay? This might be longer than most of the sessions. Proud, hopeful, wrath, clarity, 9 to 10 months, gluttony, be witnessed, be parent, I get these arranged so that I can see them, because as I look at all of the cards, that's when I kind of formulate what this message is, okay? So I may start to say some things as we uncover, but so far, Big Willow, family sorrow, yoke, feeling tied down or frustrated, crib, birth or conception of a child or enterprise. Opportunities are waiting for you. We got door. Hammock. Taking a vacation, physically or mentally. Clouds. Temporary problems. Put that with the family sorrow, you know? So it's like, I don't want you to take that too deeply right now, you know? Don't. These readings are never predictions, okay? So if you're not already in sorrow, then that is not indicating that you have to worry about something, okay? Let's look at these. Oh, interesting. I dealt some of these twice from the same deck. Huh. Oh, no wonder there's so many cards here. So you might realize that you put in a lot of effort that you didn't need to put in on something. Okay. Heart on my sleeve, happy, give your heart to me, I gave my heart to you, melting my heart, and love. Just some love concepts that have to do with this card. Graduated, appointed, wall, and strangers. This is my essence deck, so it's the essence of some of these energies that are meant by this card. Again, something about family here. Family, living, strength, work, life, nature, shopping. I'm going to use my readers here for the Marvel deck because it has some small writing. Space battles. In space, no one can hear your gravimetric beams. Venom. When the symbiote bonded with Eddie Brock, it became Spider-Man's most lethal foe, possessing all of his arachnid abilities. You may or may not be familiar with the Marvel characters. I'm really not, besides a couple of them, you know. But I get the essence by what it says here on the card and the pictures. The beach. I think I got sand in my shorts. I feel like having sand in your shorts is really annoying and uncomfortable, but it's not like such a big deal. You can literally take care of it pretty easily, right? So I kind of feel like that's why I was being told don't panic and stuff like that, right? But what that could point out to you if you did panic when you saw family sorrow is that you might have a tendency to catastrophize, and that is a coping mechanism sometimes. So just only if that resonates for you to look at. Babysitting. Trust me, I'm good with kids. Pizza. Make mine pepperoni. Is that the Venom Guide? Is that, I don't know if that is Venom Guide, but might be. Okay. The home card from the Beyond Lemuria deck. And from that same deck, we got Surrender. I'll read the book on these two. 31 Home. It's interesting because in the first reflection, we had the card before this one, the healing card. Now we have the home card. This card invites you to align with your temple space. Consider all the amazing things your body does and how you effortlessly move through reality. Become aware of the many gifts that come from a deep sense of truly occupying yourself. Often, very intuitive souls exist within the upper chakras and may struggle with the density of humaning. You may not feel like you are from here, but as though you are more accustomed to navigating a world with different parameters. At this time on earth, it is a blessing to have the vessel of a body. It is an opportunity to make a difference, so celebrate it. You have dreams and visions and may yearn to float around in more etheric realms, but it is where we are fully grounded and present in our bodies that we can actualize these ideas and make a difference. Be grounded, find your home, and just like a tree, the deeper our roots, the higher we can reach into the heavens. It's like home is where your heart is kind of thing, you know? And then we got surrender. The page and then it flipped over to the next page and I had to go get flip the page back and I just got this vision of like it showing me like that is it's like you might feel like I can let go and then something else happens and you find yourself trying to control something again and it's like okay, just surrender again, right? So keep checking in with yourself to be sure that you have surrendered fully and surrender again when you need to. Loosen your hold on the reins and know the universe will catch you. Trust, even though things are not as you imagined. Stay poised and aligned with your purpose. At the last minute, a situation will reveal its magic. Resting. Okay. Words create worlds. Very conscious of the stories that you tell yourself. We got a couple energy about arachnid things, venom, arachnid beings, I guess. Arachnid, is like the spider energy, right? And it's like what web are you weaving? What story are you telling? Like, this is what you're going to live. So it's asking you to be really conscious of it. It's saying it really matters what you say with these words. And maybe you are being very loving with your words. And if so, it's recognizing that you are creating this reality that you're living with those nice, lovely words you're saying. Let's go with this. Dietary change. Oh, interesting. We got both son and daughter. You know, if you don't have a son or a daughter, it could be your own inner child. These cards can also be referencing. It could just be the fact that we're all sons and daughters, you know. But take it as literally as it feels for you. We got anorexia, addiction, and masking. Got chills, you know. So the anorexia obviously can tie in with this dietary change and addiction and masking. You know, there's just this relating, these ways of relating that can sometimes be instilled in us through the households we grew up in. Sometimes have a lot of passed down patterns that end up limiting us, cutting us off from connection. And that can really make us think that we have to be a certain way in order to be loved, right? This can cause us to mask ourselves. This can cause us to try to fit in. And this can cause us to try to do extreme things to try to make ourselves a version of ourselves that we think is more acceptable. Addictions are often rooted in a lack of connection. And we don't feel connected to someone who is not giving us the impression that we're just fine just the way we are. And if you have sons and daughters coming out in here and some family sorrow, and oh my goodness, I just remembered we have gluttony as well as anorexia. It's like the opposite problem, right? It's like all based around sustenance, trying to get your needs met. There has been some sort of divide in connection in your family. I have a couple videos on my channel on these two topics, hope and pride. And if you're interested in going more in depth to the topics, I kind of look at them from an energetic standpoint and explain what I can see energetically about these. So feel free to search those on my channel if it calls to you. But other than that, we're going to say that, like, you know, pride is something, it's like we want our children to take pride in themselves, meaning like care about themselves and hold themselves with a certain esteem. And then, of course, there's a time when pride could get in our way, right? So we want like a healthy dose of pride. And there's a time when we need to hold out hope for something that we might feel disappointed if it wasn't a possibility. And also, hope can limit us, because if we are hoping for something, then we are in the energy of not having it, and that's the story we're telling. I hope for it means I don't have it. And if our words are creating worlds, then we want to put our energy into faith and surrender. It's like there's a higher divine orchestration happening here, and I'm going to put it in the hands of that. I'm going to trust that I'm going to line up with this the way that it's supposed to happen, that there's something bigger here orchestrating it, and I will put it in the hands of that. Now, the wrath here could be the cause of some of the disconnection. You know, there may be someone in the family unit that has some anger issues. And other than that, it's like everyday life, family life. You know, we're babysitting, we're getting some pizza, we're going to the beach, right? But then there are these battles, battle of the wills, I heard. And no one's really paying attention to each other and what each other needs. So that means if you have a need and you need it to be met, you are subject to trying to get it met covertly, not directly asking for your need to be met because maybe you don't believe it would be met anyway. Everybody else is kind of infighting, or some of them are, and some of them are withdrawn. And you don't feel like you are even being witnessed. You know, it could be more of a emotional neglect type situation. And this is not something that's necessarily done intentionally. It's usually like passed down through certain ways of relating. It can look like the family is very healthy and high functioning, and it doesn't mean that you don't love each other. It just means that there's a pattern that's being lived out and that you may be feeling the effects of, because when we look at things like anorexia and addiction and the need to get our needs met through these sort of extreme behaviors, we know that is rooted in something, right? Probably very frustrating to deal with that type of situation because you can't change other people. And, you know, especially when there's children involved, they really do need their needs met. And they will be affected long term if they're not. However, you can't give something that you never got. So if you're stuck in the pattern yourself and it's already been passed along to the children, this isn't to shame or blame you. You know, this says temporary problems. That means this pattern can be overcome. Okay? We're looking to bring this to a higher timeline for you and your family. And if this isn't happening in the family that you're in now, that you have, that you've created, it's saying, like, let's clean this up based on the experiences you had in the past, so that when you birth a new family, that you don't have to pass this on. Or it's saying, even if having a family isn't on your radar, it was in these cards, and it's saying, like, you could birth the new family for yourself, right? Create the world that you wished you lived in order to help your inner child heal. Feel joy in all you do. Don't relinquish your power. Relinquishing your power looks like, I need you to do this for me. I'm dependent on you to do this for me. And if you don't do it, I go without. Instead, it's asking you to remain sovereign. You know, it might not be fair. If you're a child, if you've been in a situation where you didn't get your needs met in your family home, it's not fair. You know, it should have been another way for you, but this is where we're at. So it's asking you to take up the responsibility and remain sovereign, meaning, like, you're not going to look outside yourself to get this need met. You're going to work on meeting it yourself. And if the need is for connection, you're going to connect within yourself so that you can line up with people who are also connected to themselves, where there'll be a healthy relating dynamic present. Forgive yourself. You know, if you've been doing things that are harmful to your body, like the anorexia or the gluttony, you may need to actually forgive yourself for doing that. This isn't like a shame yourself because you've been awful kind of thing, okay? That's really important. In quiet, I receive God's word today. True prayer must avoid the pitfall of asking to entreat. Ask, rather, to receive what is already given, to accept what is already there. Thank you, God, for lining me up with the peace that my soul longs for. Thank you, God, for filling my family's hearts with the love of themselves and each other. It is already there. There's just this separation because of the story that's been told. And so it's like, this is how you start to tell a new story. Your prayer involves asking rather to receive what is already given, to accept what is already there. Accept what situation you're in as well. Like, even though I haven't been receiving it, even though I haven't allowed it in, thank you, God, for giving me the people in my life that will show me that how much I value connection. This is suggesting that you use humor. I choose to focus on the lighter side of life. I mean, this might be one of your greatest coping mechanisms, and you might be already very much tapped into it. And this is saying worry. I am learning that worry doesn't change an outcome. Worry is a prayer for something that you don't want. We got dating. Phasing. When your body assumes an intangible state and can pass through solid matter without harm, you've been ghosted. So if we are referencing a family life that happened in your childhood, and now here you are an adult entering into the dating world and you've been ghosted, this reading might be looking at some of the things that could have caused you to carry that vibration to line up with that experience. Helicarrier, shields, mobile flying fortress, and base of operations. It'll bring the fight to you. And it feels like you could easily line up with people who are at war as well, if you grew up in the household where there was a war, even if it was a low-key war. And this is saying basically that first, if you're an adult, you can get yourself out of the situation where you're living the wrath of somebody else. And then you're going to want to reparent yourself, which is like, give yourself what you actually needed when you were a child in that situation. What did you actually need that you didn't get? A booger, you can pick your nose and you can pick your friends, but you can't pick the friend in your nose. I think this card is just referencing, kind of saying, like, this is in you. Like, this energy is in you, and it's kind of like now you can only change your story about it. You can only rewrite the story to not live it out anymore. Let me recognize the problem so it can be solved. A sense of separation from God is the only lack you really need to correct. And if you don't use the word God, you can use the word universe, source, like whatever energy created us. It created all things. All things are possible. There are limitless possibilities. And what you're looking to do is become in resonance so that you can line up with what it is you prefer. It already exists. You are telling your story so that you line up with it and you can experience it. So if you continue to tell yourself the story that you're not connected, that you don't have these things, that you're not worth it, that you have to hide, that no one's going to accept you, that everyone wants a fight, however it was when you grew up, that no one cares, that if you just continue to just be hopeful without having faith, without giving it to God and surrendering and knowing that you can line up with this. Even hope could hold you back at this stage. Abundance is your right. Abundance in all things, in connection, in love, in relationships, in the good, healthy food. Live your bliss. Yeah. So you were aiming to do anyhow. You just had to kind of clean up all this probably root chakra damage. Express your individuality. I feel like maybe this is something you already do very well, and it's encouraging that. It doesn't want you to change that at all. Whom do you need to forgive? You know, it may not just be yourself. It could be the others in the family dynamic that participated in that and who couldn't meet you in the place where your needs were recognized. Everything's okay. Don't worry. It's all working out in a beautiful way. So this has been part of the process that you meant to go through, okay? Nothing's gone wrong here. This is the timing for you to resolve this down into this root cause. Who can I serve today? In a world lacking soul-to-soul connection, small and simple acts are what create the biggest and most lasting impact. We shift our own pain and experience an avalanche of love when we lose ourselves in the service of others. Who needs you today? Is there a child in your life that needs you? Listen to your heart. Who needs you? Make one soulful connection today and give solely to spread more love, expecting nothing in return. Notice the joy that you feel when you serve others. I just need to pause one moment. Sorry, I just thought of a way that I could serve someone. I was inspired. Okay, we got Ace of Cups. I'll take that in reverse. Page of Cups. You have a lot of love to give and to share. And Luna. Sometimes you're going to be the most loving thing that's ready for connection, you know? Connecting with children is nice because it's far less risky if you're new to connection, you know? Animals is another place where you can trust in the connection. We got Aries, Cleo, the history, Gemini, semi-square, or Gemini, that's double Gemini energy. Interesting. Twins. Desi quadrate, Lilith, Angel, Crescent Moon. I feel like this experience is helping you accept and love the light and dark. Because I don't think you did turn against family members that couldn't be there for you or anything like that. I think that you see them for who they are and that you do love them anyway. I don't think you ever lost your ability to love or closed your heart off. I think you may just be reaching a time in life where you're ready to have more enriching relationships and you're ready to sort of like be in a position to really be an example to others about having overcome this kind of stuff. And I think it's really important for your inner child to do this part now so that you can have some sort of reciprocation, you know? Because so far I think that you may not have had any of the reciprocation that you deserve, of course. And so you're writing this into your story. You're writing the the reciprocal part. Thank you, God, for allowing me to line up with those who have my best interest, who will allow me to grow and learn in a relationship that is healthy. You know, it already exists. You are just allowing it. You're writing the story that allows you to line up with it. Witnessed. Others will see this and it will be inspiring to others. And just by you doing this for yourself is a service to humanity. This card's flipped, but I can't see it yet. It's hidden. Interesting. All right, I didn't see it at all. Oh, it flipped right out. Surrender again. You can only control your response. Accept how you feel fully. So when someone isn't really being fair in the relationship and, you know, doing one of these things, these patterns, you've lined up with someone who's just in those patterns, right? Maybe they're very angry. Maybe they're very proud. They've got some things holding them back that don't make a fair, balanced relationship workable for you. You know, I know that you can honor the dark and the light in people, so I don't think it's that you're judging. It's just that you have to be in the equation, and you are at a time in life that you need to line up with your fulfillment. You need to rewrite the story so that your reciprocation comes in. And when you surrender, like knowing that you can only control your response to the situation where someone didn't show up for you in the way that you might have preferred. And then that could be a clue for you, however you feel in the situation of surrendering that. It's like, oh, here, this person that I went on a date with, I would have liked to, you know, not be ghosted afterwards or whatever, you know. It would have been nice if they just said, hey, you know, I don't know if they were very compatible. You know, it would have been nice if they just had a respectful response, something, right? And but you can't control the other person. So you accept how you feel fully. How do you feel when somebody treats you like you're not even worth a reply? How does it feel? You know, because that feeling is where you're going to find the answer to what emotions need your presence. The situations you've been living out that haven't been fulfilling for you, that don't have the reciprocation, those are the keys to what is ready to have your presence. So you're acknowledging that you have some things to work through. It's valid on why you have it. You understand there's some programming in there, some coping mechanisms, and some old pain that are awaiting your love. Accept that this is where you're at, and then be present with the feelings that you can identify. And by that I mean, don't wish it was different. Don't have a time limit on it. Don't think about the past or the future. Don't blame anyone, and definitely don't blame yourself for having the feeling. Be present fully, meaning this feeling is allowed to be with you. You might even picture yourself as the parent to this feeling, and this feeling as a 5-year-old version who just needs you to be with it, who just needs your unconditional presence for as long as it needs. And you don't do this for the purpose of letting this feeling go, but eventually this feeling goes because you've accepted it, and because you're being present with it, its energy, it will reactivate itself in its movement. The path that of least resistance now becomes open to it. And you will become the version of yourself that can process that feeling. And this feeling is the feeling that's been lodged in you all this time and has made you a match to more situations that give you opportunities to feel that feeling. So without that feeling being lodged in you any longer, you will now be able to be in resonance and line up with the new story you're telling about reciprocal relationships. And you don't get to control how that is. You don't have to control how that is. It's given to God and in full trust and allowing it. It's already there. You're just lining up with it. It's 444 as we end this reading. Okay? Oh, reflection number 3. Here is the message. I'll show you the cards and the message will kind of become clear as I do so, okay? Some light. Discipline. I can accomplish what I set my mind to. Friendship. I understand that a friend is in my life for a reason. Love. I commit to the practice of seeing the good in all things. Service. I feel good when I can help others. Exams. Their history. Space. One small step for whoa. So it was a big step. And Rocket Raccoon. Genetically and cybermedically enhanced. This member of the Guardians of the Galaxy packs a big mouth and bigger weapons. Never seen the movie, but apparently he's sassy. R2. Okay. Maybe you are sassy. Maybe these energies kind of resonate with you. Maybe there's a big step you have to take. Did I just pick these out? Oh, wow. We got the museums, and then it said their history. And look, Cleo. This is an asteroid that represents history. Cirrus. It's mother, unconditional love energy. It can also signify reunion. 10th house, your reputation, your career. Square, some sort of tension. Venus, the planet representing love, beauty, and money. Coronis she was a wife. There may have been some infidelity, but that's not necessarily the theme of this reading. I'm just saying what I'm thinking about her and her energy. 9th house, which is higher learning, long distance travel, philosophy, religion, higher mindedness. Astrea, it's a balancing of the scales. Let me look at this for a minute. Okay. There's a squaring of Venus, squaring of love. Like the square is the tension. There's some tension in the department of love. And it did give you a reminder about love and also friendship. Maybe there's a friendship that could be more, not necessarily. Maybe you have a past relationship where there was some infidelity and this is causing you some tension when it comes to love. A love story, a family, an unfolding, a wedding, an agreement, a meeting of hearts. What we're talking about here, a gentleman, a kind, courteous, and greetings, an admirer. Legacy, creation, dreams, perseverance. I just heard don't give up. Communication from the angels, siblings, or neighbors. Stacking things. Got your back. Interesting. Okay. And in these cards, we got love life. The basis of your question involves your love life, which is now changing for the better. Holiday. The answers you're looking for can be found during a vacation, retreat, or a holiday getaway. A retreat can just be withdrawing yourself from a situation in order to get a new perspective. And perfect timing. This is the right time for you to move forward. Did I show you the holiday card? I don't think I did. Now, the other person, let's look at this other person because this reading does involve at least a friend or potentially a potential love or just the potential for love. You know, take it how it resonates. We got Page of Pentacles. This is the other person. So they may not be really well established financially. Nine of Wands in reverse. They've handled a lot. I think they're a very responsible person. We got Empress. The Empress in reverse. They might not be seen as so, but I think they kind of keep to themselves and they don't really show it off, but they have some very powerful Empress energy. And the Ace of Wands. It's also in reverse, so there's like a passionate new beginning. But since it's in reverse, it hasn't happened. All right. In an odd way, if you were drawn to the other reflections at all, it's kind of like this reflection takes a bit of both of those reflections, 1 and 2. But you don't have to have been drawn to the others for this to be relevant for you, okay? But essentially, there's a history here that is keeping you from proceeding forward in a connection with somebody who's in your life for a reason. Oh, I was looking at Rocket Raccoon and we said that he's kind of sassy, right? Because he was like, had a mouth, a big mouth. Maybe you put your foot in your mouth or you said something previously, right? History. It was publicly or something like that. And it's something where you feel like that you can't come back from that. It's made you maybe give up or walk away or it could be that. It could be some instance that you had with this friend that is causing you to walk away. It could be a mixture of your own past and then a past situation with them. Let me ask this deck for. Find out what the issue is so you know what needs to be solved. Express care for the other's best interest. Share what you have learned or decided. Or that may or may not be necessary based on the fact of discerning if the other has care or learned and grown. Like if you've had a falling out with somebody, are they in a position that they care, they're learned, they're grown, or are they kind of just someone who wouldn't want to understand, that you can't work it out with? You can discern that, right? And if it's somebody that does care, that you could work it out with, express care, express your care, and that you do care about the other's best interest, and share what you realized. Look, oh, I realized that I kind of put my foot in my mouth. Or, oh, I realized that I was wrong about you. Or, oh, I realized that I was prioritizing something and thinking that I couldn't focus on our friendship, but I was probably wrong, and it wasn't very nice of me to treat you like that, or whatever it is. Break the pattern. There's a pattern of you behaving in this way when it comes to this. Sorry, I didn't show you any of these cards. This is my handmade fair relating deck. That card landed in the garbage. It's like the museum card. It's history. And it's like something that needs to be thrown away. Break the pattern. Is coming into this situation, and it doesn't need to. Like, we got the legacy card and creation. And it's so much potential here. Okay. What's the space card telling us? One small step for whoa. Remember? So it feels like it's going to be a leap of faith. You don't know what's going to happen when you proceed. Maybe like you have a friend and you feel more, and maybe you're about to share that, and you feel nervous, It's like once you make that move, you can't take it back. And you don't know what's going to happen, how well you'll be received, or if you're even going to want to proceed. Maybe you say that, like, do you think we could see if we're compatible? Because you don't know yet, right? Maybe you think you are, but you don't know. And, you want to keep them in check too, to like know how you feel, and that you're not sure. It can be part of it too. We got discipline. I can accomplish what I set my mind to. And that's all. It's just a matter of setting your mind to this. So if we look at kind of what I'm feeling from the parts of the other readings that come into this, it's like, write the story the way that you prefer it. Allow the story to play out instead of letting a history sort of like be the only thing that exists. Interesting. Balance the scales here. There's something that needs to be balanced out. And it's something like you're learning a great deal from this situation, and you can teach about it as well. You're an example of something. What are you an example of? I just want to ask another deck if there's anything else. Ask this deck and then that one. Balance, spirituality, and practicality. It's time to release negativity. What kind of story have you been telling yourself about this situation? Telling yourself it's not that important. Why is that? Why? It's because you've got that tension around love. Love, beauty, money. Maybe you've been focused on one of those things and not the others. Maybe you're learning a lesson around one of those things. The energy is gaining momentum. I just heard it's inevitable. See where you're at with this. Being asked to align with your highest self. And you're being told to use your sexual energy. So your passionate energy, your energy for creation, that's the sexual energy. There's something to create, meaning it doesn't exist yet. So even if this is just a friendship that's staying a friendship, have you made agreements about how you're both willing to show up? Is there some improvement that could be made in the relationship that could enhance the connection? Even if just as friends, because we love our friends too. There's no need for this to be a romantic situation, even if your love life is improving, I came across something on Instagram the other day, like a relationship specialist or something like that. And they talked about, knowing that you could marry someone after like knowing them and being with them and dating them and all that for 2 years. And I thought, well, yeah, you've got to see someone through a lot of seasons before you know, right? And so I don't know if this is a friendship that's lasted a long time, but maybe they've grown, maybe you've grown. Something has changed here. And it's asking you to honor that and to allow more change. Like there's something, the seed's been planted or it's written already, and it's just like, this is what you're about to live out. Can you line up with it yet? There's a pattern that's been repeating instead of this. Instead of creating this, you've been doing something else. This is the time for this to happen. I kind of feel like it wouldn't tell you this way unless you already knew it. You'll know and you resonate with this. So let's bring this story to the highest timeline. By taking away any of the limiting beliefs that you can identify, like if you think about proceeding and creating this friendship or this relationship out of a friendship, or just solidifying the friendship or relationship that you have, when you think about doing that, what is holding you back? And ask yourself, what's the worst thing that could happen? And if you can identify the worst thing that can happen, then you have identified what you believe. And that belief is limiting you. So this is where you want to change your beliefs. I just heard EFT tapping. Check out Faster EFT on YouTube if it interests you, if it calls to you when I mention it. I just heard that might be a good method for you to actually change your belief. You want to sync both sides of your brain when you're changing your belief, which we did do in the meditation before this reading. And you can tap on your meridians as you kind of just walk yourself through it. But because I don't know exactly what your belief is, this might be something that you'll each individually want to do. You can even pause the video and come back to it after you've done that now if you want. You have recreated the past. We got limiting belief. Sorry, I wasn't showing you these cards, was I? So you got align with highest self. Got use sexual energy. The creation energy. It's not saying go be lustful. I'm not saying that's a bad thing either. Fully conscious pattern. Like you are aware of what you've been doing instead. And you just identified your limiting belief. This is letting you know that you're in a loop. You've created the past again because you were in that belief. But you are ready to move through this. You're willing to love the part of yourself that created that for yourself and that has been living this out over and over. Really, it is really the perfect timing. You really are ready. You have grown and learned, and you have loved all these versions of yourself from the past. And you could look through the museum of your past and just be like, oh, I love that scene. Oh, I loved that experience. Oh, I learned so much from that. Oh, look at me. I was so enriched by having that experience after all, even though I was miserable at the time. Like, it's like that. Like it is literally time to like put those things on a shelf and leave the pattern that you're currently in behind. And like I said, it could be tied into a past experience where there was trouble in a marriage. So put yourself in a safe container and then just have faith. It's like you have faith that this is going to work out for you. That's why you've been asked to do it. That's why when I talk about it, you resonate with it because you're that close to lining up with it. So as you change and release yourself from this limiting belief, you create this relationship with this person who is in your life for a reason. You go into this relationship in a manner that does not hold you both in bondage, that respects both of you, and that has freedom, that has agreements about how you each can count on the other to show up. And then a lot of experiences proving that over time, right? This is not the pattern you've been living out. So if you recognize that this is a new timeline for you, this is what you're leaping to. This is the big step you're taking. Okay? Unconditional love for yourself is what got you there. Awesome. I just heard there's no need to go another cycle if you don't want to. But it's okay if you do. That completes your reading.